Hello everybody, welcome to the fourth video in my series, 30 Days of Go. I had actually recorded this on Friday, like last Friday, but it didn't turn out the way I liked, so I'm doing it again. This was a really great game, and it has a very, very important lesson that has to do with forcing moves and probes. And this is one of the most nuanced, for me, one of the most nuanced concepts that I kind of had to learn. And it's very difficult to articulate. So I'm going to try again, and my hope is that you will understand more about when to use a probe, how to make sabaki in a better way, and when to use forcing moves. So the good news is that after my initial 3 games, my opening was awesome. I play white, took the enclosure, so I take the extension. He approach, so I just play for Sente and then take another big point. I played high because I was trying to aim to shoulder hit the stone over here, potentially grow an area. He invades. I'm like, fine. I'm just going to make a strong group and move on with my life. This has invasion points in here, and I can take away the corner. Simply extend. This exchange. And seal the corner. So he says, according to this, that the game is even for both players. So that's great. I got all the way through the opening, stayed calm, didn't freak out, and I've got good strong groups with good strong positions. So now, as I'm sure we're all aware, the next step is to try to figure out what the heck to do about this, because this is getting scary. And if you wait anymore, it's going to be uninvadable. So we need to figure out a way to invade. I'm going to show you what I did, and then I'm going to show you what he said I should have done. Okay? So when I was thinking of invading here, I was trying to look for forcing moves to get my foot in the door. My original thought of forcing moves was that you use them to get a stone in a place you couldn't have gotten a stone otherwise, and then maybe that will help you down the road. That's not exactly correct. So I could see that you could invade here. Not invade, but there's a forcing move I can give around this area because it threatens to link up with these stones. Right? You can get in here and potentially connect up through here if your opponent doesn't respond. So I was thinking about it. I played this move. It was a forcing move, right? So he defended, and I tried to attach to make some sort of sabaki. However, after he hanes and I crosscut, and he ataris here, we can see that if I just pull back and he covers, I atari, he takes, and I go here, this ladder does not work because it passes too close to this stone, and my stone would be an atari before the ladder could break. So this was actually kind of a failed sequence in the way that he made it. So I couldn't play this move. The best I could do was try to make a ladder breaker to get my foot in the door, force him to take, and then try to invade. It felt okay, but he told me that this was when the game started to become losing for white. Black gained a lot here. Between all the strength from the Panuki, the swallowing of these 2 stones, and the ability to make a lot of points on the top was much worse than a successful sabaki should have been. So what went wrong? Turns out this initial move was what was incorrect. And if you want to pause the video and see what the best invasion point is, according to my friend Brandon, you totally can. And I will just talk again in 3 seconds. Okay, you guys are going to laugh, but actually the best point is right here. Is right there. You don't need to make a forcing move yet. And the best way that I can sort of explain this is that we have a very wide area. This is not a compact area that we're trying to make life in. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 lines in between. Not to mention the top isn't fully closed yet. So we don't need to have a direct forcing move sequence that guarantees life yet. There's enough room to be able to use our sabaki techniques to make a living group in this corner without resorting to forcing moves yet. So when white plays here, it's kind of like an asking move. White is saying, black, where do you want to push me? and I will adapt, and I will flow, and I will create a living group, no matter which way you decide to send me. We're going to look at a few variations and show you how this move was better than mine, because my move removed the Aji of this area right away without a supporting stone in place. And when you try to use forcing moves without a supporting stone in place, that's kind of like in a video game using an HP potion or a health potion when you're at full health already. You don't need it. It's a waste. It's a waste of a potion. No one would take an HP giving item in a video game if they already were at full health. They would do it when they're at low health. So you want to use forcing moves when your group is in low health. And if you haven't even established a group yet or a stone yet to try to help out, all the forcing move does is kind of remove the Aji that you could potentially use for later. So let's say black tries to block white off from this corner, right? How does white handle this? Now, this is getting a little unhealthy, and we don't want to just have it run out and be a target, right? So we want to do something a little more active. When we're trying to make Sabaki, we want to try to create another battle close by. It turns out that this move that I had played, this is the perfect time to use this move and to activate this forcing move. Because if black plays here, now we can activate this sequence. Black Hanes, as before. We crosscut. Black Ataris. We defend. Black has to take. We Atari. And now look what happens. Look at that. This move was actually a ladder breaker for that entire sequence. And if I had that move in place, I would have been able to easily make a living group here. Black would not have been able to play this way. He might have to, depending if he thinks the corner is bigger. But now we've got a good bunch of stones in his area that are fairly strong, right? So the presence of this stone here was huge in activating sort of a much better sequence rather than just having the ladder be broken and I'm kind of up and then I'm kind of out of options. Now you might ask, wait a minute, why can't you just do this? Like, isn't this the same thing? Answer, yes, it is the same thing. If black plays this, then we can activate the exact same sequence as we did before. But here's the thing, and here is why you want to play your initial probing moves before your forcing moves. You want to play moves like this before moves like this. And the reason is, if you play this move first, force black to respond, and then play here, you've made black's decision already, right? Black's going to respond in such a way to swallow this stone and keep this group weak. And now white's going to have to try to find some other Sabaki technique to do to try to make balance again. You've made black's decision. If you do this first, you have not made black's decision yet. You've left every possible option open. You've left, if black plays here, living this way, starting another battle. You've left, if black plays here, to live this way. You've left black caps to play this way. You have not given up any opportunities. And because you can't see a clear variation that is undoubtedly better for you, there's no reason to try to force that variation. It's better to just, I need an even result here. I need a strong group here. I'm going to let black figure out which option he wants to take away, and then I can make my Sabaki somewhere else. And if you try to take the forcing move away from the get-go, you've sort of made that decision. You've removed options that you could have had. Because maybe black makes a subpar move and decides to cap or something and let you live really easily. Maybe he makes a result that would have been better for you. But you would never know if you activated the forcing move first. So think of the forcing moves like health potions. That's how I'm going to kind of think of them. Not to use them if there's not a group to help them with. So unless I need help with my group, I'm not going to try to use any forcing moves. I'm going to do my probe first, then I'm going to apply the forcing moves. Going along this thread, we can see this happen later on in the game. I played this forcing move to make black heavy and link up. Now a bunch of moves later, after some exchanges, I now activate this probe. And according to Brandon, this was the wrong order. If we go back, I should have probed first. The reason being is, if I make this move first, I've made black's decision really easy. Now, when I play here, black is going to defend in a way that keeps all of his groups connected, right? Of course he is, because this group, I've already made this forcing move, and it's very clear that my intention is to try to capture this group. But if we go here first, there's a chance that black might do something different. Maybe black tries to Hane. We can cross-cut. We have this Atari. We have this Atari. And now look how much stronger that forcing move is. Now, we already have stones that we've helped out because black decided to keep the corner from our probe, and now we can capture or attack these stones. Best worst case, if black doesn't do that, black would need to very passively go here and kind of let me into the corner. So I get a better result now. I get complete access into his corner, as opposed to this other variation where he gets the corner and I don't get to capture his group. So I got nothing out of that. So doing the forcing move plus the probe gave me nothing. This plus this gave me nothing in that order. But playing this move first would give me either the corner or those 3 stones, depending on how black answered. And this order is so nuanced and so subtle, but it's very, very crucial. So the lesson I learned from this game is to not use your forcing moves before you have a probe first, or you've played, in most cases. Obviously, there's no one thing, obviously, that will teach you how to play Go in every case, because then we would all be masters, right? But at least in this situation, when you've got a very wide space, you can simply play here, and then black decides how he wants to respond, and then you can make Sabaki. Then you use your forcing moves, because now you have an objective. It's to help this stone, or at least to make a group from this. So I hope you guys learned a little bit about the order of probes and forcing moves and how they sort of relate to one another. Again, this is a concept that I'm still trying to master, and I'm really glad this came up in my game, so I'm going to keep working on it. But if you guys have any thoughts on how to explain them, how you see a probe versus forcing moves, and when you should do them versus not, definitely let me know in the comments below. I thought this was a really cool game, and I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you next time.